Okay, so the top 9 most overpriced Pokemon products. Now, these have been selected based on cards and products what I believe are overpriced. However, this doesn't mean that I think they're overrated. I just think that the price isn't justified. Also guys, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is a new channel that covers Pokemon investing, Pokemon collecting, and general news around trading cards and investing. Feel free to subscribe if you love these topics. By the way, most of these would probably be Japanese female trainer cards or whatever they are, waifu cards. To keep it more interesting, I'm only going to include one of those in this list. So starting off at number 9, it's one of my favorite cards of all time, UMBREON VMAX Altar. Now, this card is gorgeous. It is so iconic. This card shifted the card collecting paradigm, and it is the most iconic card of Generation 8. Releasing in 2021 and at the peak of the Pokemon trading card popularity, it really changed the way people perceive trading cards. This card is still considered new, but its legacy is already up there with the base set Charizard and the OG Blue Eyes and Black Lotus. It's known by collectors all over, but that doesn't mean that its price is not overpriced, especially because it's a new card. Now, we all know the pull rates for this card were difficult, but the fact is the pop reports are huge. In fact, UMBREON in PSA 10 is sitting over 10,000 copies. There's not many cards in the world that have such a high population report and also have such a high price point. Literally anyone who pulled this card knew its worth. It was hyped from the moment it released, so there would be a few cases of this card being played or not looked after, but generally, this card is always kept in good condition because people knew what it was when it was pulled. But even with that, the price tag is just way too high. Evolving Skies had a lot of reprints and a lot of restocks, so the fact that this card's hit this price is pretty crazy considering it's not that scarce. For comparison, the highly desired Dragon Ball Super card, Son Goku and Vegeta Apex of Power, is at a similar price to UMBREON. However, the difference, it has a pop report of 411 and it is genuinely very scarce. So given the supply, I do think this card is overvalued at the moment. However, I believe it will likely hold because the people who have purchased it are very unlikely to sell it. It will be interesting to see if this can maintain these highs or even if it's going to go higher. But for this reason, UMBREON is on the list. Now, number 8 is Van Gogh Pikachu. First off, this card had a lot of negativity surrounding it, and I think that's added to my personal disdain for this card. I just remember seeing the videos of people fighting over it at the museum or whatever, and since then, I haven't been a fan of it. But even with that, I still think this card is ridiculously overpriced, and the PSA pop reports are hitting over 14,000 copies. But more so, the card is just wildly overvalued. Given that most of the stock originally was held by the people who were hoarding it, I don't think it will maintain its value, and I personally see a steady drop for this card, and it is definitely on this list. This card had huge scalping issues, bringing out the hobby's worst people and the worst characteristics that you'll see, and as bad as it sounds, this card's artwork just reminds me of all the negativity with the hobby, so I don't even want this one in my collection. I personally wouldn't go hard on these at least until 2026, seeing as more and more copies are just entering the market and the hoarders will slowly just release their copies one by one. Now, number 7 for the waifu card on the list, it is the Japanese Iono Special Art Rare. This card is a great card, and Iono was a super iconic character in Generation 9, but the price is just wild. Now, I understand this card had some use in the meta, but still the price point is just crazy. The only issue I have with this card is that it has a distinct line on the print that makes it look like it's creased, and it kind of always bugs me a bit. But still, the color scheme and the art style is fantastic. The tax for these waifu cards can be a little tiresome because I feel bad for the Japanese collectors as the prices just get way out of hand. It'll be interesting to see if the price can hold this high. I mean, as long as the demand's there, it probably should. But for now, I stand by the fact that this card is way too overvalued. Now, the next two on the list are similar, but they do belong on the list. Number 6 is the Rainbow Charizard or the Hyper Rare Charizard from Champion's Path. Now, I'm not a rainbow rare hater. My daughter's favorite cards are the rainbow rares. She always asks, Daddy, can I see the rainbow cards? And I've actually built a rainbow rare binder for her for when she's older to have, and she can just look at all the rainbow cards. So I'm actually a big fan of rainbow cards because I think they're really good for little kids. This card already dropped a fair bit in value, and I think it's only this expensive because it's a Charizard. When you look at any other of the rainbow rares, they are nothing too crazy in price. I mean, I filled so many pages in my binder with rainbow rare cards, and I've gotten so many amazing deals on them. They've never been too expensive, even though they are very hard to pull. However, the Charizard tax pushes this price card way up. I do think it's a cool card, there's no doubt about it, but I have to call a spade and be honest that there's nothing inherently special about the card. Now, number 5, it is also a rainbow rare Charizard, but this one is the Rainbow VSTAR Charizard. This one is way overvalued, and more in the fact I think this is a very boring card. I prefer the Champions Path card over this by a mile, but the card has just nothing inherently special about it, and other than the fact that it's a Charizard, that's all there is to it. The problem you'll find in this hobby is that there are a lot of collectors who try and collect every Charizard artwork, so they have binders full of Charizard cards from all over, so no matter what Charizard card is released, they all need to add it to their collections. I also think Pokemon is very aware of this topic, and I actually made a video discussing Charizard's popularity, and I go into some real deep marketing data relating to that topic. I'll link that video here if you're interested. But the same concept with the previous point. The card has nothing special about it or any wow factor, so the price point literally only stays there because it's a Charizard and because rainbow rares are hard to pull. Otherwise, it is way overpriced. Number 4 is Golden Snorlax from Chilling Reign. I absolutely love this card, man. I actually got 2 of these graded and they came back at 10 and they are staying in my collection. However, they are overpriced. When looking at other gold cards, they usually sell at lower values. Gold cards are super rare, but they are usually not too expensive. However, the Snorlax is really the odd one out, and the price to grab it is pretty high. What's crazy that it's even more expensive than most of the alt arts in Chilling Reign. Even though the card is great, I still think gold cards leave a lot to be desired with the artworks. And that's why Crown Zenith's gold artworks are so iconic in my opinion. And that's why I think they are actually super undervalued. I did make a video discussing the top 10 most undervalued cards, and those 4 made the list. You can check that out if that interests you. But yeah, I mean, like with the Snorlax, it's a great card, but still overvalued for the fact that there's nothing special about it other than it's a Snorlax on a gold background. Now, number 3 on the list, it is Sword and Shield base set booster box. This set started the iconic generation era, so I understand why it's loved. But man, this set does absolutely nothing for me. It's a kind of, you buy it sealed and you leave sealed kind of purchase. This has made some crazy highs, and it's actually the second most expensive Sword and Shield era booster box right after Evolving Skies. I feel the price of these is also high because there are heaps of collectors who complete booster box sets, and this is kind of the booster box that you would despise buying. I actually personally wanted to complete a Sword and Shield booster box set as a collection, but the price of these just turned me off because, I mean, I can justify buying the Evolving Skies booster box. You know, there's the UMBREON, the Rayquaza, the Evolutions, but this one's just way too hard to bite the bullet on. So yeah, this one's definitely overvalued. Now, number 2 on the list is Rainbow Chonkachu. I mean, Vivid Voltage can still be found for decent prices, but this chubby Rainbow Pikachu is crazy overvalued. And kind of the same rationale goes with the Charizard that I mentioned in the video as well. Pikachu, Charizard, Giratina, Umbreon, they have huge fan bases and they have collectors who try and grab every single card that exists of these Pokemon, especially Pikachu and Charizard. So whenever there's a hot chase card with Pikachu and it appears, you're always going to be getting a lot of demand from the collectors. But still, with all that said, this card is just way too overpriced, and it could probably do with a 35% dip to make it more in the realms of common sense. And for this reason, it is an overvalued card. Now, number 1 on the list, it is Rebel Clash ETBs. Rebel Clash is trash. I mean, come on. Have you seen this set? It is so boring. But more than that, there's no reason to buy this ETB. The only use for it is to keep it sealed. And if you did rip it open, What are you hoping to pull? But sealed ETB collectors who want to complete their Sword and Shield ETB sets are left in a hard position with Rebel Clash, because I can guarantee most people don't want to pay the price, but they need to. Like, even though Evolving Skies ETBs are overpriced, at least you know there's a chance of pulling some fire. With these, you'd be pulling hot garbage. So it is a very hard buy. So that one is number 1 on my list. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the content, please feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you on board the channel. Also, let me know what other cards and products you think are overvalued. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.